2, 3, fire!
Knights, Vikings, Samurai, Woolen, Outlanders, 4. We still had the Warmonger.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hey!
Oh, man, that was such
The
a hype
Warmonger Hero
trailer.
Fest.
I'm so excited. So excited for Varangian Guard. And if you're excited, too, we got good news because, again, next week, February 1st, the Varangian Guard is going to be available for everybody for $7.99 USD and on February 14th for 15K steel. So get ready for that. It's going to be awesome. And, yes, we are going to... Normally, we have like a 2-week period before they're available for steel. But because it's our anniversary, we want to just do it a little earlier by 1 day. So get ready for that. It's going to be awesome. So but for this segment too, we are going to dive into the narrative, the lore, the art, all of the stuff that is so important, at least definitely to me, and I know to a lot of people here on the couch. So I'm very excited to hear about this. So welcome everybody. Steph, thanks for sticking around and talking more about this awesome new hero, the Varangian Guard. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, good. Cool. And also we're joined over here on the very far couch, but our amazing game writers. We have Andre, we have Ian. It's so
close
good.
to your heart.
That's close, always close to the heart. That's great. And Raph, of course, our resident historian. So thank you all for joining us on the couch today. So let's dive into this. Steph, do you want to give a little introduction now for the hero?
Of course, it's my pleasure to talk here now about the Varangian Guard hero. It's our first fully armored Vikings, so that's pretty cool. All the other Vikings roll up and whatever they got, and this one's like,
and hopefully all the people that are a fan of the Vikings are happy, because they've been wanting a Viking hero that had this actual good armor. So hopefully you guys are happy now.
He has an axe in the one hand and a shield in the other.
So let's wait and see if they could go ahead and fix that up with the other Vikings.
We're going to talk about kind of two things. One is going to be the violent Viking aspect, and the second will be the loyal mercenary aspect. The violent Viking, of course, is represented through the axe, which is really going to bite into opponents, embed in them in a way that the others don't, and set her up for her really fun, kind of cool mix-up that others will talk about in the next segment. We'll get to that. But yes, this is violent Viking, and I can't wait for this mix-up. It's fun. And then the second is a loyal mercenary, and that's going to be well represented through her shield, her ability to multi-block and defend herself. You're going to see that in a couple moments as well. And she's going to really help her team out with her feats that are going to bring benefits to her teammates. Feat 1, Feat 3 for survivability and killability, and her Tier 4, which is really going to help her move forward with the team and take back space for their team. So can't wait to show that in the next segment with the others.
That's very cool. Well, yeah, thank you very much. Sounds really cool. I'm very excited to see just the next Viking. And also I want to say thank you so much, because now we get to round out that missing space in the roster now. So my OCD is very appreciative of that, because oh boy, it's been
we need a lot more though.
Since
we need a lot more.
Who's counting, eh?
Me,
especially for the Woolen.
So it's great. So yeah, but let's talk a bit more about the story. So let's Andre and Ian, can you tell us a bit more about who is this Varangian Guard for us? What's the story for Honor when it comes to her?
Happy to get into it. Yeah. So the Varangian Guards are mercenaries. They travel the world fighting for various clients. And in their travels, their identities have evolved, and in one way you can see that in their appearance. As Stefan's mentioned, they are fully armored Vikings.
Ooh.
You also see it in their language as well. So the dialogue in-game is a mix of Greek and Icelandic. So as you know, all of our Vikings speak Icelandic. It's Greek, that's new, and it's a little bit of a clue to where the Varangian Guards have been to in the world. So we're not going to nail it down, but that's your clue. And so when you hear them speaking Greek, this is when their more mercenary side is coming out. It represents, how stoic they are. They're there to get a job done that's refined. And then when they slip into the Icelandic, that's when you hear that Viking core that Stefan mentioned coming out. And they're more brutal, violent. Their blood is up on the battlefield. But what makes the Varangian Guards so famous as mercenaries is their loyalty. So they're intensely loyal to each other, as you can see in the feats Stefan mentioned as well. But they're also loyal to their clients. So a lot of mercenaries get a bad rep for, betraying their clients if a better offer comes along. Their allegiance is really only to whoever will pay them the most money. Not so with the Varangian guards. If they say they're going to fight for you, they will fight for you, no matter what. So they cost a lot of money, but what you're buying is that ironclad loyalty. So that begs the question, how do the Varangian guards fit into the seasonal narrative? And I believe Ian has some more information to share on that.
I do? I do, yes,
Maybe?
right.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
that's right.
I hope so, because I prepared nothing, so it has to be you.
I wonder what happens.
Yes, absolutely. Let's just wind the clocks back a little bit. In TU1, we had the Highlander Maddox. He betrayed his people, his chieftain, to side with Horkos. He killed everyone who was, well, not by himself. He and his men killed everyone who was loyal to Chimera. But there is one who escaped. If players paid attention to the lore orders, they might have noticed that the chieftain's daughter escaped. And now we can officially reveal that this chieftain's daughter, her name is Katla, and she is our main Varangian Guard hero. Katla went into exile when her uncle unceremoniously took the throne. She roamed the frozen wastelands of Alkenheim until she came across the Varangian Guard. And there they took her in. She trained with them. She learned their ways. She learned their cultures. She became one of them. Eventually, she took the pledge, became a Varangian Guard herself. And now her first act is she's hired her own crew to go back to Heathmore to reclaim her village. So now it's Katla versus Maddox, and it's the Varangian Guard versus Horkos, and it's really, we're putting an exclamation point here on the Year of Injustice, because there's been so many injustices. We had a lot of, Horkos has been wreaking havoc pretty much throughout all of Year 7, but now finally, some good guys are coming in and trying to balance the scales a little bit. Yeah, what do you think about that, Andre?
I'd say that's absolutely accurate. The Varangian Guards are these paragons of hope. Now at the end of Year Injustice, like you said, it's a great way to cap it off. And as you also heard in the trailer, there's the line, justice is on the march. So they really do represent, a ray of light at the end of this dark, dark year. And I believe Maddox, he also tries to do something pretty schemy in character for him,
he's
right?
a sleazy guy, and even he himself, when he sees the Varangian Guard coming, he realizes the threat they represent, and he's like, oh, wait, maybe I can try and, wrestle something out of it. So he tries to hire them from underneath, Katla. He offers them more money, but as Andre said, they have their morals, they have their code. They refuse. They're here to fight for Katla. They're here for him. So
it's very ironic too, considering that the Varangian Guards have no blood relation whatsoever to Katla. They're mercenaries. They're mercenaries in general are famous for being just greedy, and yet they show more loyalty to her than her own blood. So just goes to show the level of his treachery.
Exactly. Right? I mean, it's treason.
Family troubles.
Treason, and now
It's
we're
treason,
yes.
yes.
Well,
Surprising, because at some point I thought that the message was, hey, Maddox was right. And now, no, I learned that he's wrong.
I mean, that's
you
up
can
for
argue
debate.
it. You can argue it.
But Maddox did nothing wrong. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I thought this was the plan. Oh.
I guess not. We got to keep reading those lore orders, though. That's awesome. Well, sounds great. I'm excited to really cap off that conflict between these two, the Oathbreaker and this Oathkeeper. So that's a really cool way to cap off the year, like you said. So that's the Varangian Guard in the lore For Honor. But obviously this was like a real world kind of group of people. So from a historical angle, Raph, can you share what were the inspirations for this? Like, how far down does this rabbit hole go?
Yeah, of course. We took inspiration from history for that. Varangian Guard is probably the most famous military unit of the Middle Ages. The members of the Guard were Norse people, mostly from Scandinavia, fighting across Europe and the Middle East, and selling their services as mercenary, and they're mostly associated with the Byzantine Empire, it's a successor of the Roman Empire in the Middle Ages, and it was at the time the wealthiest and most sophisticated state pretty much in Europe and the Middle East. So it was a right place to go if you wanted to fight for money. There, in the capital of the empire, Constantinople, the Varangian Guard served as the personal guard of the emperor, but also as shock troops that were really renowned for their fearlessness, their violence, as Stefan said, and their loyalty. We have one example in more than 200 years of history of their existence, of them revolting against their employer. So yeah, this is really special. And this loyalty, we were drawn to it when we started thinking about the hero. This was something that we really wanted to represent, but it's not the only aspect that we wanted to represent. We used also the fact that the Varangian Guard, so they were coming from other places and traveling. Some would go, get paid, and come back. In Norway, for instance, there is a famous story about a king of Norway called Harald Hardrada. We took inspiration from history to get the story of Katla, her coming back, being exiled and coming back. But also, when they go somewhere, they are Vikings. Yes, Vikings in their core. But they become Vikings with a twist because they live embedded and surrounded by another culture, this Byzantine culture. And we wanted to reflect this multiculturalism or biculturalism. So we have a Viking with a twist, a Viking who has a few Greek words, a Viking who fights in a bit more of a structured way than the other Vikings. A Viking who has, of course, a lot of armor. A Viking who so it's reflected also in executions, mood effects, the music. There are some Armenian and Byzantine influences there, and of course also in weapons, armor sets, art in general.
Right. Well, I mean, speaking of art too, we have some concept art too that we can kind of show. You can kind of walk us through a bit of that process.
Absolutely, this is something I like so much. So we started from history, so from manuscripts, from text descriptions, from archaeological diggings, from drawings from the time, all kind of sources. But from history, we build our fantasy, and the fantasy we wanted to build was an armored Viking, as Stefan mentioned. What does it mean, an armored Viking? Well, you've seen it. You see it on the key art that we have here and on the concept art on the screen. So an armored Viking has a helmet, of course, and you have multiple kind of helmets that we used. Greaves, shin pads, multiple layers of armor.
Oh, we can see
so would have some,
a little bit of her face,
which is pretty much a clothed padded cloth armor. You have chainmail, you have scale mail, you have some multi-layers of leather, and you have something I personally really love, which is it's called Varangian bra in sources.
Oh God!
So it's like leather straps that link the or hold the chainmail.
I wonder now that they've finally released a Viking that has proper Viking
really
armor.
And we wanted to
Hopefully
and, well,
they can now start giving the other Vikings, you know, the proper armor that they need. Kind of like how, with the brand new hero has. Even though we do have some armor variations that do have that, but I think a lot of people, they want more.
She has a tunic,
they want a lot more.
Because she's
so,
a palace guard.
So hopefully they can do that maybe next year.
And to appear in court events. So yeah, multiple layers of explanation and multiple layers of armor. That's the important point.
And I think, like, speaking of armor as well, like, right, there was a lot of work that went into, some customization for the armor. Right?
Absolutely. I mentioned that
we get to see it.
Fantasy of an armored Viking, but another aspect that we really wanted to nail was the customization aspect. We wanted to give the Varangian Guard. It's a unit. You are issued with standard equipment. But you also you want to bring in some element of individuality into the guard, coming from different places. And we wanted the player to be able to have this choice, to be able to go with the cape, without cape, different types of helmets. You will see that there is a set that has a face reveal. There are other sets that have a conic head, conic helmet with an aventail, which is a way to protect your face. Some others have complete face masks. You can see it here. It's inspired from neighboring culture, the Sicilian Norman from Italy that the Varangian Guard would have fought. So yeah, you have multiple options. In the
That's
armor,
the first set.
you also have different
Now we have
types
the
of
second set.
chainmails. You have different types of
I
scale
see the weapons
mails.
in the background too.
You can go with other types of armor too. You
Iron
can see
Mask!
the many types of customization that are available and that we wanted to offer as an option.
But they also seem to really like the pointy helmets. You know, is there a historical reason for the pointy helmets?
You want me to say?
Oh,
that
look,
they
we see our
stabbed their
face a
A
opponents
little
with
bit,
their
yeah.
head?
I kind of want to know where's the
No.
history for that. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not the
Ah,
case.
darn,
Well,
okay.
maybe they did, but that's not what my sources tell me. Basically, the helmet it's to protect your skull. Everyone's
As is
Yeah,
tradition.
that.
I'm aware.
So basically, if it is like that, it deflects blows much better than if it was really square kind of helmet. There are other types of helmets, but in their case, we went with this one. We also have a helmet like this one, which is a late Roman ridge helmet, many jewels. This is us taking the liberty of going up and down the thousands of years of Roman and Byzantine history that preceded the Varangian Guard.
Wow.
We mentioned customization. I did.
Yeah.
There are also options that we have with material, with color sets. As you can see, the entire armor will change. You can apply the material changes to it, and we try to maximize it so that you can do as much as you can and change and express yourself as much as you want with the material, but also with the color sets, and you can go with as many colors as we have and as many colors as you want.
Nice.
Is there a particular color you think you'll be playing with?
I mean, they got a purple ponytail right now, so I think I might just go with that.
The dark purple is really historical too. I would go with this one, but pink is also something I like, but not historical, but really I like it. So hey,
it's
we can go
expression
with
though,
it.
so
Yes.
yeah. That's awesome. Well, yeah.
I have a history question.
Oh, yeah.
For the professor.
Well, for him.
Or maybe it's not for me. Maybe it's for the people at home. But could you explain maybe why we pronounce it Varangian and not Varangian?
Yes, you're right. So basically, the loyalty was really important for. So it's something that's so important that it's actually embedded into their name. The name Varangian in English, it comes from Old Norse Varingar, which means sworn companion or oath taker. And so this was something that they would do. They would take an oath to their lord. It could be in Scandinavia, or in our case, mostly to the Byzantine emperor. And this oath was their bond. They lived by it. They often died by it too. It was so important that it was their name. And this is why we've been pronouncing it in this Old Norse fashion with the RG.
That's good. I know during the development I had to remember it because I always thought of like a karate gi, and I don't know why. That's just how I could remember like the hard G there. But it's good to know there's actual, again, like history behind it, which is always awesome.
Well, it's a basis. we go into fantasy. From there, we go into fantasy,
Right.
but there is a basis.
Now, speaking of the historical elements, we talked a lot about the armor, but I think you have something hiding behind the couch over there. We can show off a little bit.
Yeah, it was really well hidden.
They had the mocap weapon.
Nobody saw it.
Yeah, I've been dying to do this since the trailer.
There you go.
I will let.
I still remember when they did that with the Veggie, when they had like the two
why we chose
palm axes.
long axe, and
I remember
the kite
that
shield
one.
for the hero, the gameplay reasons, the animation reasons. But from an art and history point of view, well, the Varangian guards, they were called in sources Aspidiforoi,
Oh,
so
you can see the weapons.
shield bearer, and Pelekiforoi, so axe bearer. So we wanted to go with that. But when we design weapons, we go like on a scale from realistic to mythological. We start with weapons who are more, what they are used, exactly what they're used to be. So you have some metal, but not too much. Then we clean it up. We add some metal, some ornaments, some different ways to express yourself. The weapons for a mercenary, they are the tools of the work. So I could believe that as a mercenary, you would want to show off, to try to show that you've survived, to use your weapons as a memento for fallen companions or brothers or whoever. And so more and more you can add elements. You can add some more weapon, some more metal, some more precious metal. You can go into a more fantastical way too.
Oh, look at that
and
one.
use different things that are inspired both, so the double nature comes back here too. So both from the Viking mythology and from the Roman and Byzantine history.
Oh, wow, look at that one.
Mythology or symbol.
We got a unicorn
and
shield.
More you go up the scale into the mythological, you would have more gold, you would have more tessellated glass, which is something really, really important in Byzantine art. You would have a lot of symbols.
Oh, wham. Whichever one you want to say.
As you can see, multiple animals.
Yeah, and I think there was like one animal in particular you were really excited about
Peacock.
to express on the weapons.
It's the last one, the dragon.
Yes.
So of course dragons, they're staple of Viking mythology, but they were really, really important in the Roman and then Byzantine armies, and so Varangian Guard too. They had a sigil that was called a Draco. And it was pretty much like a dragon-shaped sigil that you would go into battle with. For 1,000 years, the Romans and the Byzantines used that, and we know that the Varangian Guards were the last to do it in history.
Wow.
So this is the shield and the axe I was talking about. So whether you want to be more realistic or you want to be more mythological, we have you covered. And you want to feel like a 1,000-year-old Roman fighting as a Viking Varangian Guard, well, we have you covered too.
we offer all sorts, so that's amazing.
We try.
We try.
Really, I want to
the weapons look
give
awesome.
a big shout
Not gonna lie,
out,
man. They
to
look
the
really
art
beautiful.
team, because they worked so hard on this, and it's a team effort. There are multiple people who do that, including the Chengdu team that we love very, very much, and we thank very, very much too. So yeah, it's the result of the work of these many people.
That's awesome. Yeah, and again, looks absolutely incredible. And honestly, big shout out to you three as well for crafting all this amazing like lore, going back into the history. I love me some lore. It's like it's just one of my things. But no, so yeah, thank you three as well for again just making this amazing story to help us bring this new hero to life. So that's awesome. Final word before we switch, because we're gonna jump into some gameplay and animation next. But Steph, anything else you want to say about our Varangian Guard here?
I mean, I can't always wait. I can never wait for players to get their hands on it.
Yes.
It's always fun to see how they will express themselves on the field and destroy their opponents on it as well.
Nice, guys.
Same. Just excited to see players sink their teeth into the story too, and read those lore orders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Justice is on the march.
On the march
for Valkenheim.
So Maddox maybe did something wrong. So yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. Debatable.
Not sure.
Debatable. All right. So that's for that. So for everybody out there who wants to hire the services of the Varangian Guard yourselves, next week, February 1st, you can do that for $7.99 USD, and on February 14th for 15K steel. So keep an eye out for that. And don't go anywhere, because we're going to be right back with some people to start talking about the animation and the gameplay and get a little hands-on time with our newest hero, the Varangian Guard. So we'll be right back.